Good evening, everyone. If you can hear me clearly, just give me a nod in the chat room. That is, if you can stand to type, listen to this new hot-ass intro music. I'll be honest with you, if you have any clothing left on, I mean, that's almost an insult to me. Good. Tonight we're going to be covering a little bit of my trip with Mr. Alex Flores to Texas2k. Put in a lot of time behind the wheel on the way out there and back, and I think he's very thankful for all the help I gave him driving, keeping him company when he was driving. I think he's very appreciative of that. I tell you what, I'm still feeling a little jet lagged from the trip. It's the best way to describe it. Oh, Alex. Alrighty, guys. We are live. This is episode 44. Now, 44 really doesn't have much of a significance, but I will tell you that on Facebook this morning, I received a memory reminder that today, or actually yesterday, because of the calendar, how it works and everything, was the 1 year anniversary of the first live that we did here at PBH. And a lot of you that were there that first day, or right from the beginning, are still here today. So I want to thank you guys again for supporting our YouTube channel and PBH in general with all your product purchases, if you have or have not, whatnot. But definitely with the support here on the YouTube channel, because we couldn't do it without you, obviously. Without you, I'd just be sitting here spewing hot garbage into the ether, and that's not cool. So, we'll start tonight with that announcement, and let you know that tonight, I will be smoking this cigar to celebrate the 1 year anniversary. And if you don't know what kind of cigar that is, I only smoke Perdomos. Oddly enough, it's the only cigar I like. So anyway, how's everybody doing tonight? I hope you're doing well. I'm doing fine. I'm still recovering from what was a whirlwind of a trip to Texas2k with Alex Flores. I feel like I drove for like 6 days straight. It's unreal how much driving is involved in getting out there to Texas and back. But this is PBH Live. If you're new to the show, we do this live broadcast, try to do it once a week, where we cover Coyote Swap topics, 6R80 topics, 10R80 topics, Godzilla topics, and other general motorsport enthusiast topics that we all kind of have bring up and encounter with our builds or even with our enthusiast lifestyles. If you don't know who Power by the Hour Performance is, PBH, we are specialists in those Coyote Swap 6R80s, 10R80s, Godzillas, tuning, and general automotive stuff. We have a whole line of products for Coyote swaps in general. Most of our Coyote products are Coyote swap centric. 6R80 components, 10R80 components, and soon to be Godzilla as well. We are in West Palm Beach, Florida, right at the end of the airstrip at Palm Beach International Airport. And if you need to get a hold of us, we're here Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. Our phone number is 561-737-2331. We have 4 salespeople on the phones: myself, Frank Pezzo, Christian Papa, Travis Dean. If you want to email us, let's say you have a question you don't get through in the chat and you don't do the super chat, still doesn't get answered by any of the people in the chat room, you can email us directly, info@pbhperformance.com. Email me directly, frank@pbhperformance.com. There is a comment section on this video, so if there's something you want to cover and we're not catching this live, you're watching during a replay, you can go ahead and post that comment. We will be there to answer and respond to you as well. If not, email us, call us as well. You can also follow us on social media through Facebook and Instagram. All right. Let's take a little sip of water before we get rolling here. How's everybody doing tonight? Let's say some masterful hellos. I think we had, I forget who was first. It kind of, when I go live here, it kind of erases it, but it is on the video at the beginning, so I might have missed some people here. But anyway, Jaime's Garage, how we doing? Robert Whedon, just finished meeting up with him. We're going to cover that in a second. Terry Scott, how we doing? Root Beer, Rob, 2000 MCR, Brooks Young, Renner 595959, or 59 times 3. Jaime Zamora, how we doing tonight? Ike Hart, let's see who else we got. Parker Go Lightly. We just couldn't get his schedule to free up enough to join us at the meet and greet when we're up there in Houston, so I'll have to do it another time. Let's see here. Who else we got? Alejandro Flores is in here, of course. Cooter Baby. Good name. Brandon Roberson. Evening. How we doing? Let's see. Yeah, buddy. How we doing today? And as far as the talent on Tinder in Houston, I'm married. I don't know. I don't use Tinder, Bumble, any of that stuff. The most my eyes will wander are in person, so couldn't answer that for you, brother. You got to ask Alex about that. Jason Freeberg, how we doing, brother? Eric Copeland, how we doing? Jared Wells. John Gongen. I think I said that right. Michael Knotts. I think we got everything. Colorado Car Dude. Car Dude. How we doing, man? All right, so we are on episode 44. This one in particular is not going to have a whole lot of tech or product information. It's mainly going to be about the trip I just got back from. Went to Texas 2K for the first time. Thanks to Alex for giving me a ride out there. Helped him out a little bit with some driving, prepping the trailer, getting cars loaded, unloaded, that kind of stuff. But my main purpose for going out there was to meet up with 2 builders in particular that were in the Houston area. Ekstensive Metal, which you know from the show Texas Metal, and Gumby Saunders, which is sometimes even in this chat room here, as he is. They're both PBH customers, builders, guys that have dealer accounts with us and use our products for their customer builds. So I got videos coming out on YouTube. In fact, tonight you're going to be able to watch for the first time in public the video I made from my visit at Ekstensive Metal. I met up with those guys there. There's a gentleman by the name of Max Dooley that works on the front counter. He's the one that we work with day in and day out with their builds and the products they need. And I met up with him. He introduced me to all the guys from the show, and we got some pictures and video, although somewhat restrictive because of what they got going on there with Motor Trend. But we're going to show you that here before it goes live at 8 o'clock as a little extra benefit for being such great supporters of our live broadcast. So we're going to be going over that. We're going to talk about the meet and greet that we did and how great it was, and how we're going to do that just about every trip that we do. Anywhere we go, if we head off to Tennessee, if we head off to Pennsylvania, Columbus, Bowling Green, I'm going to set up these meet and greets low key. Bring your car, don't have to. Just hang out, come out, meet basically me and whoever else is with me that's in the industry that you may know or hear of through our broadcast. Even other members of the PBH team, Alex, Lunds, that kind of stuff. You never know who's going to be at that table. So it's a nice little thing to come out, meet, have a nice little chill session, just like the music that we used for our intro. So we'll talk about that here in a second. What else are we going to talk about? Oh, you will notice on the screen right down here, we got a new flag that's flying, support the RPM Act. The EPA is threatening with some of their new legislation to stomp out a lot of what we like to do with our cars and our hobby. And the way they're going to do that, they're never going to knock on your door and tell you you can't do it. What they're going to do is put all the vendors that manufacture parts that are maybe questionable for the new use on the road, that are originally designed for off-road use or even racing use, they're going to put us to the coals and they're going to fine us into submission. And what we got to do is get the RPM Act to pass through government so that they can't do that. So that they can offer us an off-road exemption for what we do with our cars. We should be allowed to convert any vehicle that we own, that is our property, to off-road use if we so choose to. And right now, they're enforcing it as if you cannot. There is no gray area there. There's no definition to what is and what isn't, and they are enforcing it as so. The negative effects are everything's going to get more expensive, if not available at all. The way they are enforcing this stuff literally puts companies just like PBH out of business because they fine you into submission, and that's not cool. It's not acceptable. And we need to voice our opinions in unison across the board. I'm really happy to see what's going on YouTube. There's a lot of people putting this message out there, and that's what needs to happen. You all need to be involved because we're all in this literally together. We're all car people. So if we want to keep that going, not slow down, not change the flavor of it, not be red taped and limited to the point where it really hurts all aspects of our industry, we need to speak up. We need to help SEMA, PRI, get this RPM Act passed. So definitely check into that. The link is in the description of this video, and make sure you spend the time to go ahead and fill it out, sign it, and then email your senators and governors and let them know how you feel about it so they know where they need to sit when it comes to the decision time to vote on this stuff. So anyway, now we got that message out of the way. We did have a few super chats pop in. Daniel Green, when's the new valve covers be in? Well, I think you're talking about the camera covers. They actually came in today. So if you go to our website, we do have the camera covers from Ford Performance back in stock. We got a limited run of them, and they are available. You can buy them now, and we do have them on the shelf. I believe those are the ones you're talking about. Root Beer says, did Alex tap anyone's mom at TX2k? I was listening to his live broadcast the other night, and I had the earbud in while the wife and I are watching a little bit of TV, and I hear him talking about giving me your mom's stats. Let me know if the bra size is a 38. You know, you can offset it, this and that. And I'm dying, and my wife is just going, I don't even want to know what you guys talked about while you were alone, let alone when he's on his live broadcast. I'm like, honestly, there's no difference. There's literally no. It's the same conversations we had one-on-one happened on his live show. So you get exactly, it's no filter, absolutely no filter. We had a blast. I know he struggled with his car, and that's no fun. You know, just trying to be supportive and be there as much as I could. There wasn't much I could do other than maybe help him drive around and pick up some parts, and help the Lund team kind of address some of the stuff and try to get it squared away. Weren't able to, and unfortunately he had to end his weekend early. I think the takeaway is, yes, traveling long distance for racing, there's always a gamble. Definitely you need to set up your program and kind of handle these things at a local level so that when you go away, you know how to address things. And it's hard to really forecast the things you're going to run into, but know where all your tools are, what's missing, how to get replacement parts, what's going to be a wearable item on my car, how can I address these things, how can I get it up in the air, do I have what I need to do that stuff? Because like he experienced this weekend, he drove, spent thousands of dollars, drove umpteen amount of hours, a lot of time, vacation time and stuff, and he didn't get a result anywhere close to what he was expecting. And he wasn't expecting to win or anything like that, like blow everyone's doors off, but at least to go out there and enjoy the event, run your car, get some good video, have some good content, and all he ended up with was struggle, and that's no fun to watch or to really be part of it. So I've been there. It's not fun. You got to work through the stuff and not give up on it, I would say, but also train yourself to deal with this stuff. And it's hard to do. Like I said, it's hard, yeah, you can bring a backup alternator, you can bring a backup this or that and the other thing, but there's no guarantee those are the things you're going to run into when you're racing. So it's not like these are known problems. You blew an EGR tube off an exhaust manifold. How many people really prepare for that? I don't think that's going to be the case you're going to be preparing for, but just going through the process of knowing what you need, having it, addressing things so that all the things that are part of making a pass and getting to A to B back home are under control and they're not stressful. That way, when the stressful stuff pops up, you have the mental fortitude and the foresight to go ahead and deal with them and get them tackled so you can continue your racing experience or whatever you're doing. I know with autocross and road racing, I'm lucky that my car is pretty well damn sorted from the road racing days to do the autocross, so I've been able to enjoy just driving it. I've had a few hiccups along the way, but it means it's vital to be able to concentrate on what you're doing so that you can do a good job of it. So the fact that he didn't make any mistakes at the line or driving it after all that shit was going on and the stress of everything and the traveling, he did a great job. So hopefully we can get his car all sorted out. He can run the number, get some confidence in it. It may be FL2K, be the next time you see it out there in that kind of setting. And I would think, he's gone out to Texas 2K a couple times, and I would argue that he's got some work to do. I think he should plan on going back there and finish it on a high note and try to have a really, really good weekend out there. May prove otherwise, but it'd be worth it to say, if I'm not going to go back to this event again, I'm going to end it on a high note. And that's it. So, I don't know. He'll probably disagree. Dana Green, what's the weight on the road race Fox and rear wheel horsepower? On my coupe is, I want to say 3150 with me in it. Probably between 3150 and 3200 pounds with me in it, depending on how much fuel I have. And rear wheel horsepower is right at like 425, 427. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you need a lot of details on it, you can always email me and I can lay down I can send you the spec sheet, the setup sheet that I sent Maximum Motorsports on it. So anyway, Bobby Wortman joining us. How we doing, buddy? Zane. I met Zane at the track. Him and his boy were there the whole weekend supporting Alex. They did a great job. It was really cool to see them out there. Met a lot of people out there. Speaking of meeting folks, we did do that meet and greet at the Heights Beer Garden, which I expected to be German food, and it wasn't. It just was a really good cheeseburger and a free beer. So it was pretty cool. But we did do the meet and greet, got there around 8:10. As soon as I walk in, Matt Dorsett recognized, says, "Hey man, I'm Matt Dorsett. Let me buy you a beer." Walked me over to the bar, got a beer, walked out, and there was Gumby sitting at a table with his son, and I believe it was Ken Kokab was with him. And we all sat down and basically hung out till about midnight talking just about general stuff, Coyote Swap stuff. Gumby was answering questions, I was. Everyone was sharing information, what their builds were. Everyone had a little bit different of a car. And then we talked a lot about the EPA stuff and then general chit-chat, just like we do here. It was really cool. Gumby was smart enough to get one picture. For some reason, I blanked out. I was going to go live. I was going to do all these things. I didn't do any of it. We were so busy chatting and talking in the moment and stuff like that that I didn't do any recording, any photos. We'll fix that for the next time. But here's basically what we ended up looking like. Man, isn't that a great looking group of guys? Gumby in the bottom right, that's his son in the bottom left. And then I believe that is Michael Planer with the glasses. And then across from him is Matt Dorsett. I have my arm around Matt Dorsett. At the end of the table is Robert Whedon. And next to Robert Whedon, between is Ken Kokab. He's at the end of the table across from me there. And I want to thank all these guys for coming out, because I will tell you, I know Robert came from Dallas. That's about a 3.5 hour drive, but he was going to Texas 2K anyway. Michael Planer told me he lived pretty close. Matt Dorsett, I think, was about an hour, which in Houston isn't anything. I mean, everything's like an hour away. And then Gumby and his son came from Sour Lake. That's an hour and a half away to come out and have some beers and share a burger, have some fries, that kind of stuff. and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. We got to talk about a lot of stuff and just hang out and be enthusiasts. And we didn't really plan on taking over the world or anything like that, but we had a good time, and I'm looking forward to doing those, like I said, again, at all the different events that we go to throughout the year moving forward, because I think it's simple enough to do. It's harmless, doesn't cost anybody anything extra, and it helps you get to know us. We're there to help you. You can bring a car there, we have a question, that kind of stuff. It also gets you connected with other enthusiasts, obviously with the same focus, the same likes, that projects that you want to do. Coyote swaps most likely. All right, Daniel Green, another question. So what radiator do I need for my Voodoo build? Radiators, man, any 3-core radiator will do. You can use your stock Voodoo radiator if you have that. Different types of components are available to plumb that properly. Make sure you have the right degas bottle, or delete that. You don't need any special radiator. I will tell you, you don't need a $10,000 radiator to cool a Coyote. They cool pretty damn good. So an off-the-shelf, a Mishimoto, a Ford Racing replacement, a Champion, any of those, they'll do the job. The radiators in my car is nothing special. It's plastic tank, 3-core, OEM replacement that Ford Racing had years ago for the 0304 Cobras, or 9495 Cobras, and I wedged that damn thing in there. It's been in there. It's been perfect, knock on wood, and this is Formica. So don't go spend $1 million on a radiator. As long as it flows and you got good electric fans on it, they're wired properly, you're going to be fine. You're going to be absolutely fine. Now, I will tell you, Voodoo's 21-pound cap, so that's something to be thoughtful of. They create a lot more pressure. It's not a typical 16 or 19-pound cap, 21 pounds. So if you want to rock a stock radiator, there's brackets out there to do that, and use the stock Voodoo tank. That way, everything is factory, as close to factory as possible, if you have that concern. I think you'd be fine with a 16-pound cap, but I know plenty of people have done it. Midway Mustang did one. I think he used a stock radiator and stock reservoir. So that worked out good. So, as you can see, I'm wearing a hat from Ekstensive Metal. I did get to go visit those guys. They are in Houston, and we had a good time. I got to spend some time with them and kind of see the shop, see how they do things there, what projects they're working on. I got to shoot a lot of video and photos, but I was restricted because while I was there, they were filming new episodes for their TV show, Texas Metal. Now, I got to meet Bill and Tim, the lead builders. There's 3 other guys in there as well. I didn't get a chance to meet them. Met most of the production crew. Watching them work was really interesting because it is like an army of people filming at the same time. And what they do, and as they explained to me, when they go to film episodes, they literally shut down the shop. Nothing comes in, nothing comes out unless it's the projects for the show. And everyone's concentrating on that. That way they can get them done, started and done, get them out of the way and start working on the vehicles that they have scheduled out for regular customers. At the time, they were working on one of the vehicles that's going to be feature one of the engines that we sold them. It's like a 30, some sort of Lincoln or something like that. I forget what it was. They were working on a C10 pickup that they were debuting or delivering that day, premiering. They had a bunch of things going on, and there was a bunch of rides there already. So it was really neat to see all those things in motion. See the guy who does the interior, see the guy who does the welding, the frame table they work off of. The place is not ginormous. It looks really big on TV, but they're in a tight space. They do a nice job of kind of quarantining and moving things around and working within the space they have, but they have 2 shops basically, one opposing the other, and the one is basically where they do all the welding and painting, and that's where they film the show. On the other side is their manufacturing, because they make their own air ride suspension components. They have a full stock of air ride Vi-Air pumps and tanks and hoses and hydraulic and air fittings and stuff. I didn't know they even did that. They got a bunch of celebrity cars there they're working on. And the guy that showed me around, his name is Max Dooley. He showed me all that stuff in and out, walked me in there, got to shake hands with all the big wigs and so forth, and hang out with some of the production crew. And it was a lot of fun. It was a new experience for me, and I'm glad I went. And we got to share some time with good customers of ours, basically. And what I did was go ahead and make a testimonial video. What I do is builder spotlights. I haven't done one in a while because we haven't been able to get out too much because of COVID. But every time I go to visit a shop or a builder, whether I meet them at an event or just see a cool customer build. I film it, let them tell me who they are, where they're from, the origins of the project, how they did it, and then just tell us how PBH was part of your build and what you use from us. So Ekstensive went ahead and gave me the time to go ahead and do that, and we made a video. So I'm going to debut the video on here right now. It's about three and a half minutes long. I'll give you some commentary while we're at it, and we'll talk about it when we're done. And then at 8 o'clock tonight, that video will premiere publicly on our YouTube channel, so you can share it. There is a link to it in the description of this video, in case you want to share it to anybody you know might like it. By the way, comment on the video if you can, outside of the chat room. Like the video, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for me. So anyway, here it is, a premiere. The PBH Builder Spotlight of Ekstensive Metal. Hey guys, it's Frank at PBH, and in this video I'm going to take you to Ekstensive Metal in Houston, Texas, and they're going to tell you how they're PBH equipped.
Hey guys, it's Max from Ekstensive Metalworks. Down here in Houston, Texas, and you've also seen us on the show Texas Metal on Motor Trend.
It's where they keep all their t-shirts there in their showroom. This bad boy, they had an episode.
We specialize in our air suspension, but we do full chassis, paint, we do interiors, audio, just whatever you need to get done, we can knock it out.
That Bronco they did a episode on where they built it, that big ass truck there. It was also on one of their episodes. They showed you the full build. I had this kid laughing. Talking a little bit of shit in the back. Yeah, and everything there is dirty right now because of pollen and dust. I mean, nowhere, even at the track, it was a battle trying to keep cars clean.
So we do a lot of powertrain swaps, and when we do our Coyote swaps, we found Power by the Hour. Guys take super good care of us. And when we needed the total package, we didn't want to have to source a bunch of parts from different places. So we caught with Power by the Hour. They got us all our engine, transmission, ECU, harnesses, power steering, the whole nine, everything to drop right in. Everything's pretty much plug and play. And, you know, if there's ever any issues, we call, they had it solved within minutes. So super good guys. Make sure you check them out.
Yeah, this is a suicide door Lincoln with one of our supercharged Coyote powertrains. It's really nice. We're finishing up some repairs because the owner of it likes to ride it really low. He bent a bunch of shit. This is kind of the whole compound. The show building is the one on the left of this frame here. You know, behind this monstrous F-150.
You can find us at www.ekstensive.com. You can also follow us on all our social medias and Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, etc.
I go ahead and thank the guys from Ekstensive Metal, especially Max Dooley, for taking the time out of his day, a very busy day there at the shop, to show me around, let me get some footage, and go ahead and make this video highlighting them and how they use our products to make their projects come together. Another cool thing about the visit there at Ekstensive Metal was that they were filming that day when I visited. So they're shooting for their show Texas Metal, and unfortunately because of that, I couldn't show you the 3 projects they had in the works that were using our powertrains and our products. Now in the near future, you'll be able to see those on their TV show, so make sure you get the Motor Trend app or check it out on the Motor Trend TV channel. So we want to go ahead and thank everyone at Ekstensive Metal, from Bill, Tim, Max, Val, everyone that I got to interact with. It was really cool visiting with them and seeing how they use our products to put their projects together. And on top of that, getting a little sneak peek, a little behind the scenes on how those TV shows are filmed. If we're ever in the Houston area again, we'll make sure to stop by and see them and get caught up and see what they're up to. In the meantime, make sure you check them out on their TV show. Thank you again to everyone at Ekstensive Metal for choosing PBH for their builds. All right, so that's it. That video will be live right at 8 o'clock. Right at 8 o'clock tonight, it's scheduled to premiere. So probably right as we get off the air for the live broadcast, you'll see that one pop up and go into your notifications if you've selected that and you've subscribed to our channel. So what do you guys think? I mean, Ekstensive Metal, it may not be all of our cup of tea, but those guys, if you're in the Houston area, they could do a coyote swap just about into anything. Now, I will tell you, they're a year and a half out, so that may not be a good position to be in if you're looking to get something done quick. But they do a lot of air ride suspension, anything custom, really. I mean, if you got the money, I'm sure they can build you just about anything you want. The guys are really, really cool, really appreciative of what we do and how we package things, because like we said before, when it comes to coyote swaps and builders in that part of the industry, they don't need to become experts in coyote powertrains to get a job done. We got everything they need to get it done, get it working properly, and then basically offer them all the options that just about any customer would want as well, as far as boost and performance and that kind of stuff. So it's really neat to be able to offer them that and watch them roll with it, because now once they have that all figured out, they can do what they're good at, which is the customization, the suspension, the body, and the paint, and the interior. They don't have to worry about figuring out other stuff, and that's where the key is, and that's why they've chosen us not once, not twice, 3, 4 times now in 2020. We got some more stuff in the cooking with them as well moving forward. So look for some really cool projects. I'll thank Max once again, not only for the hats, some t-shirts, that kind of stuff. Christian and Frank Pezzo work with them day in and day out, so it's really cool. Let's see here. Did I miss any comments? I think there were some comments in there that I might have missed. Other than Daniel Green's dominating the super chat tonight. Let's see here. He has another question. So, with the 6R80 and 7,500 to 8,000 RPM shift point with 26-inch tall tire, any gear ratio recommendation? Well, just about any 6R80 you're going to run, if you're running the factory gearing, you don't want to go harder than a 331 or a 355 gear. So, obviously the tire size is going to play a little bit into that, but you really... usually 331s is where everybody wants to be at, unless it's NA. If it's NA, you might want a little bit more aggressive gear. But if you're launching it, second gear leave might be something you want to work out with your tuner. If that's not an option, look out, because that first gear is 417. So you want to give it a little bit of time in first gear before it snaps second, because if it happens really, really quick, it misses a shift, the fail safes, and the ride's over. So, I would probably stick to a 331 being the most aggressive if you have stock gearing. I would say that. All right. So, someone asked about Ben Calimer transmissions in there. Yeah, they are pretty lights out, man. Those MT82s that he builds are very, very robust. He has a lot of options for them now. And if that's not enough, he does do some T56 stuff that is, I don't think it's face-plated, but it's like stage 3 stuff that I think Alex is even entertaining using one in one of his cars, one of his many, many cars for drag racing and so forth. So it's pretty cool. He does have plenty of options. I think I saw, yep, Caleb's in the house. Thank you very much for popping in there, brother. If you guys don't know who Caleb is, Foxcast Media, definitely check him out. He works tightly with Dover at Dover's Garage. They do a ton of coyote swaps. He's got a bunch of content coming out. Yeah, Matthew Plavidal says Justin Williams is a cool guy. He works at Ekstensive. I believe I met him. I think Justin is the interior guy. And I met him. He was working in the interior there. He was in the office with Max and I. They were trying to order up some parts while we were there. It's pretty cool. Let's see here. Colorado Car Dude, other than the speed drive and timing cover, what other parts do you recommend for a Gen 1 truck motor swapped in a 96 Cobra? Gen 1 truck motor. Well, the speed drive, obviously the timing cover. I would say if it's 96 Cobra, you don't really have to mess with radiator stuff. You're going to want to use that degas bottle. So you're going to leave your hot water tubes alone. That's all going to stay the same. We've got our evap plate that is an option for you to just make that look good there, unless you're running an engine cover, and you can just leave the factory one in place and plugged in, keep it from giving you a vacuum leak or whatnot. Headers are going to be dependent on your K member, whatever you decide to use there. I would say a remote oil filter kit might be a good option for you, just to go ahead and put the oil filter somewhere safe, keep it away from any suspension components. You could use the F-150 oil filter housing. They lay the oil filter horizontally, and usually with the sway bar relocation kits, it moves the sway bar far enough away where it clears the FL500 oil filter that's used from the factory. If it has an oil cooler on it, omit that. You're not going to be using it. We have that little short stud that allows you to get rid of the cooler and the factory stud, and then put that in, run your filter right back on there, you're ready to go. Cold air kit, if you want to do something custom, we do have the mass air for that, Gen 1 and Gen 2. Gen 3 is in manufacturing. We will have those out soon enough. It will be a little pricier than the Gen 1, Gen 2s because they're bigger. Gen 1, Gen 2, if you want a no-tune required mass air, they're 85 millimeter. If you want a bigger one, we're going to have the Gen 3 version. Stock size for Gen 3 is right at 100 millimeter. It's like a 99 millimeter or something like that. It's huge. So if you believe in performance gains from that size tube, that guy there with a 4-inch intake tube like we offer it is a nice, easy way of making a cold air kit. You have other options. You could try to use the stock plastic intake tube with our mass air on the end and an air filter, and that'll save you some bucks and will prevent having to use an aftermarket intake tube that may or may not fit. So you can't use our Midway Mustang power steering reservoir bracket because it's going to come into collision with your power distribution block on the driver's side. Trying to think what else might be pertinent to your build. What else could we talk about on a Cobra? I don't know. I have to think about that, but there's plenty of little different things out there for sure. Daniel Green has another question. So how many 6R80 Voodoo swaps have you seen? And the car is an SN95. I haven't seen many. All the Voodoos that we've come into contact with have been manual. The 6RR version might take a little bit of work wiring wise to get it done because we got to control that Voodoo with a GT computer, and there are some differences there. But I have not seen too many 6R80 behind them at all. We have not done any 6R80 swaps in GT350s either. So it's not a known quantity, that's for sure. Troy Johnson, thank you for the super chat. How did you enjoy Heights Beer Garden? That place gets super busy and is a pain to park, but the beer selection is awesome. I am a Hefeweizen guy, so they fed me a couple different wheat beers. They were great. They were local. They had a bunch of stuff on tap. I will say I was a little disappointed not to see more German food on the menu because I'm a sucker for German food, German cuisine. Seeing all the different style of sausages and the krauts and the cabbage and all that stuff is kind of what I was hoping for. None of that stuff was on there. I ended up just getting a burger. They had like a smash burger with sauteed onions on it. It was excellent. Pretzel bread. Got the sweet potato tots, a little mustard. And when you buy that from the beer side, you get a free beer. If you buy it from the bourbon side, you don't get anything for free. So definitely buy your food from the beer side. They have two different bars. They're opposing each other, and then the common area in the middle. It was nice and cool that night. So they had the fire pits all lit up. The heaters were on. You know, you're able to keep your coat on and everything. You're not sweating or whatnot, but it definitely would have been comfortable either way. And service-wise, everything was really cool. You know, we had a good time. No complaints on our at all. It did get busy. If I wouldn't have reserved a table and Gumby hadn't have got there early, we probably wouldn't have had somewhere to sit. What ended up happening is I gave the reservation away because we had a table with Gumby. I held it for a little while in case anybody else showed up, and we didn't need it. So we helped out a few different people that were coming in late trying to get a table. So they were appreciative. Jordan Dunning says, hey, a little bit of channel support. Thank you very much, brother. I appreciate that. You're welcome, Colorado Car Dude. Let's see here. Oh, Cooter Baby has an interesting question. He asks, speaking of Ben Calamer, I'm a trans builder in California. How is it he's the only one that G-Force will sell gear sets to for the MT82? I've even asked Ben if he'd sell to me, and he says no. Well, the reason why that is Ben spent a bunch of money and time developing that gear set with G-Force. He's the one that put the step forward to go ahead and do that stuff. So he most likely has a deal with GeForce where he's the only vendor for it. Probably has a term that's going to be enforced. And then who knows down the road if they will release it to the public for their regular catalog or it's just Ben's part. Now, if Ben decides not to sell it to the general public or other shops just for their installation purposes, I would imagine it's because it's expensive to make and he's going to want to keep them all for himself so that he can make the extra money on a rebuild and not just sell the gears. You know, it's his product to make that decision to do with, and I think that if there is an opportunity for him to sell them wholesale, he'd probably do it. If it doesn't make sense to his business plan and he's given up money to do so, that's his prerogative. He doesn't have to sell it to the general public or other shops. So I know it sucks, but you know, that's the deal. Now, we made our 4R200 hub, and we wanted to keep them all in-house just to watch the development of them and where they're being run. And then eventually we made them available to everybody else, and they're still being sold. And they're still going out, and they're still being used. Even though, unfortunately, we weren't able to get the overdrive to work with a stock computer. There's light at the end of the tunnel that with standalones. But Ben's a good dude. I mean, if you really, really needed a set, I would, probably stay on him. I wouldn't get rough with him or anything like that, but definitely put a bug in his ear and say, hey, I need a set, man. Help me out. See if he'll help you out. Doesn't have to. There's no guarantees of that. Troy Johnson says, if you're ever in the area again, try King's Beer Garden. Awesome German food there. See, that's the advice I needed right there. I know I'm going to Columbus in July. There's an awesome, exceptional German restaurant in Columbus. My wife found it for me. We're back there. We were there in like 2017 or 18, Jake and I. We went there. We were blown away. It was so good. So I'm looking forward to that. But if I'm ever in that area again, I'll definitely check that out. Troy, thank you for that recommendation. Root Beer asks, do you guys have a GTR oil pan diaper product in development? No. They need it. Okay, I'll tell you this. Texas 2K, my takeaway from Texas 2K was they either had way too many cars or they put way too much emphasis on the GTR guys. It seemingly was, and I wasn't there the whole time, Alex can tell you better than me, but it seems like, and this kind of holds true with, let's say, in road racing, between the racing guys and the driver's education guys. If the racing takes longer, they take time away from the customers, right? So we're all customers. Everyone's paying to race there. You're trying to make it even. If they see they have a pattern where the GTR cars are smoking the track, oiling it down, having a lot of problems, I would think they would have consideration to move everyone else up and let them try to get their licks before their licks get deleted from the program, basically canceled. Because everyone had to travel, everyone had to build a car, everyone had to do that stuff. It just seemed like they did not want to let those guys down. But then the streetcar class was just always waiting or losing a run. There might have been other classes that lost runs too, but it just seemed like the streetcar guys, the drag racing guys, really got their face kicked in by the organizers. And I'd imagine they're going to get plenty of emails and comments and see videos like this and stuff like that. And they'll probably consider making adjustments for next year. But the roll racing and the GTR stuff, the roll racing was intense. I've never seen that, and I guess I just went to like the Super Bowl of roll racing, where cars are going 220 miles an hour, 217 miles an hour from a 65 mile an hour roll, hitting anti-lag before they launching from a 65 mile an hour roll, looking like they're launching from a dead stop. It was very impressive, I would say. And I've never seen so many sexy Vipers and McLarens and stuff like that in my life. But those classes seemed to run without a hitch until stuff started breaking. And when stuff started breaking, it was Saturday night. It was getting late. That announcer really kind of went over the boundary, I would say. The comfortable boundary between the PA and the racers. He was telling people not to brake. Who was there a not brake button in the car? Like, you don't know what's going to happen when you go out there. The track prep is on point. The DA's low. It's cold outside. You have more power than you probably gauged for. You're trying to make adjustments. Not all these cars have that stuff on the fly, man. And on top of that, I mean, Alex was in the lanes for like 2.5 hours before he got his last run. And part of that was waiting for them to prep the track to do an exhibition run. And we were joking, like, oh, what's next? They're going to bring T-Rex out to start eating cars. You know, there's going to be a monster truck, maybe a stunt show, and then we'll run the Saturday night guys. By the time they ran, there was nobody in the stands. All day Saturday, the place was packed. The reason why all those people left is because the shit slowed down. Yeah, it got cool out, and the racing stalled because there's just breakdown after breakdown after breakdown. And I don't know what they're gonna do. I don't envy them in the position they're in, but I would say they got to do something because the feeler was out that not a whole lot of people were happy with that stuff and that it wasn't worth it. You don't want to be that because yeah, you can replace those customers, but you'd rather keep all of them, right? Just find a way to keep everybody happy. There's got to be a way to do it. There's 4 days of drag racing. Nobody should be missing any runs. Matt Long, thank you very much, brother. Says, thanks for everything. I hope to start on my 01 Bullet this week. Awesome, man. I know there's another Bullet that's going to be debuting, I think, at Ponies in the Smokies, Chokies, or something like that. That's beautiful. Thing's gorgeous. I love Bullets. I've always been a sucker for a green 01 Bullet. One of my favorite cars. But so are Mach 1s from that era. I don't know why. Foscast Media, I still have room for you in the Midway at Ford Takeover May 7th and 8th, just saying. Oh, man, that'd be... Let me think about it. Let's see if I can make that happen, Caleb. Let's see if we can make it happen. It's a tough one. Daniel Green, another question. What's the exhaust setup on your Fox? My exhaust is unique. I got ARH inch and 7/8 long tubes, 3-inch collectors. I do not have an X pipe. I do not have an H pipe. I have a Y pipe because the two 3-inch collectors go to a Y. They stay to a 3-inch pipe basically, and that 3-inch pipe goes back along the passenger side where I have a 180-degree muffler. What that means basically, the inlet and the outlet of the muffler are on the same side. That muffler is up in the stock position, basically under the back seat area where it tucks. So it comes in, comes out, goes up through the floor, and then out the body. That way, all the weight of the exhaust is to the passenger side. For an NA car, it has not proven to be a restriction. It has not hampered me from making power. It's quiet. I use a muffler from a company called Extreme Mufflers in California, and they're 100 decibel mufflers, which there are restrictions like that in autocross and in circle track racing in that area. So it's very important to keep them quiet. And my car, you look at it and it has all the underpinnings of a car that's going to be aggressive and loud, and it is quiet. I love it. It doesn't beat you up when you drive it. It's nice and quiet out there. It doesn't blow everyone's eardrums off. It's perfect. I love the way it sounds. It's so quiet at idle. You can actually hear if something's wrong instead of just hearing exhaust kind of thing. So it's a nice little combination. That company makes regular mufflers as well. So if you're looking for that kind of sound deadening, they do have regular exhaust components that you can pick from. But mine in particular, I have the torque arm and a panhard bar. It's hard to do tailpipes. So you're either going to do dumps, which are really, really loud, and they will heat your fuel tank up, or you're going to go out the side, and the only way you're going to go out the side is either by squishing the pipe between the body and the floor, which gets rid of a lot of your ground clearance, or up through the floor and out the body, which is what I ended up doing. And I wrapped out that pipe, made a little large 5-inch tip to kind of conceal it, and it worked out great. It's never really given me an issue. The only problem I've had is that muffler didn't have a drain hole. So the condensation that it creates would just sit in there, and it actually rusted a little bit. So now it's got a drain hole and a little bit of a exhaust leak. But yeah. Oh, Pablo 50 says the same thing happened at FL2K, except it was mostly Hondas breaking every pass. Yeah, I mean, maybe it just comes to the territory where, you know, these it'd be one thing if these GTRs were bone stock and they were breaking. These guys are pushing it. I mean, the billet blocks and DCTs and stuff like that, they're gonna break. They're gonna break. You're pushing them well beyond their limits. It's not like that, you know, it's a Windsor with a turbo and a turbo 400, and it's a well-known combo. And if you blow it up, it's kind of, but it's not a alien spaceship that you're trying to launch. So they just need to have that in mind. And every time those guys are up to race, they should be last. Push them to the back and run them close, tight to each other. That way, if they do have a lot of breakdowns in one session, then the time that you got to take to clean it up is theirs. And, you know, as far as the announcer goes, yeah, it'd be great if every car had a belly pan on it and a diaper. But unless it's mandated by the rules, you're not going to do it, because diapers and belly pans on the street could cause issues. These are street cars, right? So if you do have an oil leak and you don't catch it, and you have it full of tranny fluid and you got all this heat radiating back and forth, fuel leak, that kind of stuff, it's just not feasible for street cars. So, I mean, I think that's what they're probably going to have to ask, is everyone have to have a diaper and everyone's going to have a belly pan, so one or the other. And a fire suppression system too. It's just making the cost of doing this more and more expensive, and at the end of the day, there's no guarantee it's really going to improve your event. So that dating channel, which is Alex, says, "Este pastel de zanahoria está de madre." We were at Saltgrass Steakhouse for dinner, and it was crazy. There was, it was a really wide sample of YouTube personalities and tuners in one restaurant, right? So we're waiting for a table. The guys from HPJ are there, Michael Zeiches and all his guys, and we're hanging out talking with them. I'm sitting there with John Jr. chatting. Cletus is there with his clan. There's another YouTube guy in the back. There's all sorts of people through there. So the place is packed. We finally get our table, and you know, everyone orders their Long Island iced teas and their beers. Alex gets a soda, and I order myself a nice red blend, nice wine. So I'm standing out like a sore thumb here at this table, and everyone's kind of looking at me weird. And I just decided to start messing with the waiter a little bit, and I started ordering Cuban food at Saltgrass Steakhouse in Houston. So everything I asked for, he gave me an alternative, and one of the alternatives to my ask for flan was a carrot cake, which I thought when he said it was onion cake. So as you can imagine, there was plenty of moments like that throughout the weekend where we would definitely let it all hang out, I would say. Let's see, Matt Bow 2003, was nice meeting you at Texas 2K, Frank. I'm the Shell Oil guy. Yes, I remember speaking with you. That Gen 3 10 or 80 swap might be happening sooner than later. Matt showed up. He was in his full Shell regalia. It looks like he just got off either a platform or out of a refinery. And we talked there for a while, and he was telling me a little bit of how that industry works and so forth. And I was asking him about some of the unique features that I saw in the local area. For example, there's RV parks seemingly anywhere and everywhere. And I was like, man, there's a lot of people living in RVs or traveling, and they're not visiting this area. There's like a random lot on the side of the highway of 10. You know, they're not there on vacation, I imagine. And sure enough, what he reaffirmed to me was a lot of people that work in the refineries, they follow the work. So they have these RVs, and they basically move to wherever they have the work, and they stay there in that area until they get the next job. So pretty interesting. It's something that you don't see that much here in Florida. All the RVs down here are on vacation or they're retirees. We don't have, I mean, there's no refineries, I think, in Florida. I looked at it the other day. It's just holding tanks everywhere. I don't know if there's any work there for anybody, but. So yeah, it was really nice meeting with you, man. And let me know if we can help you out at all on that swap. I'm sure there's something we can hook you up with. And we'd love to see you do it and get it knocked out. And bump into you again at the next event. Christopher Anderson says it was it was just GTRs. It was Subies and Porsches wrecks after oil downs. Yeah, obviously the oil downs are one thing. Once you soil that track, I imagine it's got to be a hell of a chore to get it cleaned up. And those guys were working their ass off, keeping that prep on point. And I got to, hats off to them for doing it. There was a lot, man. And those cars obviously are impressive, but if the failure rate is that high, I mean, it really kind of screwed up that event for a lot of people. And Alex I saw it firsthand with Alex, and I heard it from a lot of other people too. So it's a shame. You want everybody to go out there and have a good time and run their numbers and do their best. But if they're breaking that quick, man, that fast, I mean, at least don't take it out on other people. The announcer kind of took it out on everybody there Saturday night. He just kept saying, tighten up, and if we have one more breakdown, we're done. I'm hoping they're going to tell us we're done. Oh, they're going to keep us rolling. I don't know if he was trying to be funny or whatever it was, but it didn't really strike a good chord. I'll tell you that much, respectfully. That dating... Alex Flores chiming in with another beauty there. Let's see here. Matt Long asks a question. What is a good capback for a supercharged Gen 2 New Edge swap that's not crazy loud? Well, I would say not crazy loud. You're going to want to stay with a chambered muffler. Chambered mufflers, to me, seem to be quieter than the more straight-through glass pack style, Magna Pack, Borla attack style muffler. If you can stay chambered, I think you have a better chance of having it quieter. Flowmasters surprisingly sound pretty good. They sound kind of period correct, I would say. But their construction really doesn't like what you're describing there as far as power. I think you're going to end up with a rattling muffler pretty quick. MagnaFlow, their chambered mufflers always had a really nice low tone, in my opinion. I liked them. That's what we used to sell the most of. And construction was up there. It was good quality stuff. I know Borla has stuff as well. Exhaust is such a tough thing to really pin because it really isn't... There's no standard to what sounds good and what doesn't sound good because it's relative to the person. It's like... do you like pink shoes? No. One guy says yes, or everything I wear, I don't like it. Exhaust, there's an anticipation to it, a usage to it, performance note to it. You really got to do your research, go out to car meets and listen to different exhaust systems to know which one you like, and then chase that down. If you're looking for quiet, I would say MagnaFlow chambered muffler would be a really good option. But, man, there's so many options, I couldn't tell you for sure. Let's see here. Daniel Green pitching in again. Thank you, brother. Are you going to have a meet and greet schedule on the PBR website? On the PBH website? Yeah. When we go to the events, we'll go live before we leave and announce where we're going and tell you where we're going to meet up at. We'll put it on. I should put it on the website. I didn't do it this last time. It was the first time we did it, honestly. I was kind of glad it wasn't too big because we really weren't prepared for a huge gathering of people. I don't even know what to do if that were to happen. So as it grows, we'll maybe come out with some swag and do some gifts and stuff like that, stuff that's particular to those visits. So we'll work on putting the information together and setting things up. I know near Bowling Green, there is a gentleman that I spoke to that has a Coyote Swap Fox body that owns one of those axe throwing places where you just start throwing axes at wood. So that'd be kind of cool to do. Hey, everybody meet over here. We're going to throw some axes and get crazy. Yeah, Wild Horse makes a comment as far as Texas 2K. It says Texas 2K equals sponsor money. Run all you want, break all you want. It definitely helps. I mean, I know when we were vendors with NMRA at Bradenton, we could pretty much make an exhibition pass whenever we wanted to. All we had to do is ask, and they'd let us do it. So there are definitely perks to it, I would say. You know, money talks. But most of the people that I know of that would have that, I mean, it's not the sponsor's fault for being offered that. Maybe, you know, if they say, hey, you know, if you do this, we'll let you make a pass. Sure, okay, I want to make a pass. Okay, and then they go out and prep for an hour and so forth. You make your pass, you're happy. I mean, you're not really doing anything wrong if you're doing that, but if it's got an adverse effect to your event, then you got to really consider if it's worth the money. Because I think they could really put it like this: if they really put that thing together, you might be able to have 2 events. I mean, and just have all the GTR, DCT stuff, and then have a drag racing event the following weekend. Who knows? So, I imagine if they get too many more people going out there, it's going to be a problem also. So, Andrew Hanlon joining us. How we doing, brother? Hey Frank. Hey all. Sorry I'm late. No problem. No problem at all. iCard has an interesting question. It says, was that your first time eating crawfish? Gumby posted a pic on IG. You didn't look so sure about them. Yes, it was the first time I've ever eaten crawfish. I'm not a seafood guy. I never have been. I have an issue enjoying textures that I'm not used to. So steak, chicken, potatoes, rice, all that stuff, familiar to me, no problem. It took me a while as I became an adult to really enjoy salad. Soups. Getting into seafood has been a whole nother thing. I started with fried shrimp because you can barely tell you're eating it. I ate scallops at one point. I like Brussels sprouts, which I heard is like a really tough vegetable to enjoy. I love Brussels sprouts for some reason. I have no problem eating Brussels sprouts. And people kind of look at it kind of weird, but Brussels sprouts to me taste great. Nothing weird about them. My palate has gotten a little bit more relaxed as I get older. A little bit less fear to it. I'm not eating sushi and shit yet. But Gumby said, we're going to eat crawfish. We're going to go eat crawfish. Let's go. So, okay, Gumby, I'm going to tell you right now, I've never eaten crawfish before. I'm willing to try anything once. So, just listen. Don't order me a bunch of shit, because if I don't eat it all, I don't put it on you, you know? No, so he ordered like 3 pounds. 3 pounds of crawfish. They brought me 1 pound of crawfish. So, okay, it's a good sample size. There's a lot of shit going on here. And there's a lot of bugs in this, this plate that I usually don't even want to touch. But I said, no fear, man. Let's go. Bad boy club. Put it down. He showed me, you take the tail, you push it in, twist it, you use the head, clean out some of the nasty shit on the end, which I grabbed and kind of threw away. Flip it upside down, get the tail rolling, pull it out, take all the little feet off, put it in the bucket, dip it in the sauce, and eat it. Tastes like shrimp. It's a lot of work. A lot of work. And I bite my fingernails, so I was feeling the spice of everything they put in there right through my nails. I felt like I had horseradish on my nails, my fingertips. And I ate the whole pound, man. The potatoes had all the seasoning in them. Those things were good. That was really good. I thought they came with sausage. I was kind of looking forward to sausage, but I didn't get sausage with it. So I know now when we go to a friend of mine is a part of a club here, a fishing club called the Flotilla Club, and they have crawfish boils and shrimp boils. And I usually have a steak, and I'm that guy eating a steak and a crawfish boil or whatever. Next time we do it, I'm gonna eat me some crawfish. I'm gonna have me a sausage. I'm gonna have me some potatoes, and they're pretty good. I enjoyed it. I'm glad he put me through that to do it. It was one of the highlights of my trip. And in fact, even though we showed you the extensive video this week, next week we'll debut the video I'm doing on Gumby and share some of the stuff from the trip visiting him. It was really cool. Spent a lot of time there with him, took a lot of pictures. He's got a lot of trucks going on there. Worked with him to interview. he struggled a little bit. Had to coach him up a little bit. So like I say, we exchanged coaching. He coached me I coached him on speaking to the camera and where to look and what to say and how he wants to say it. And he taught me how to eat crawfish. That's a win-win right there. Let's see here. Daniel Green hitting us up again. Let's see. So if someone rented a track, would be willing to come up for that event? Well, it depends on where it's at. Obviously, if it's in striking distance, there's a better chance of us coming out. If there's a track rental, track time available, I'm sure even guys like Alex and even Jake and them would take advantage of it. So, yeah, but he says Nola has the best crawfish. No need for dipping sauce. You know, I didn't dip them much. I didn't dip them till like the second half. I wanted to try them the way they delivered them, and I didn't get them too spicy because I'm not a huge spicy fanatic. I think he got it like spicy, so I can see where I would want more spice to avoid the dip. But the dip was good. Their garlic bread, it was at Floyd's in Beaumont, Texas. The garlic bread was obscenely good. I'm like, man, if that's what they're doing with that, I can't wait to see what they do with a crawfish or a potato. So, kind of wish it would have hit one on the way out, but we were rolling, man. We had 16, 18 hours of driving, and yeah, Alex did most of the driving. I chipped in 3 hours on the way back. I was ready to go, but I'm not used to driving late, and I get tired, and so I gave him 3.5 hours on the way back, and then towards the tail end of the trip, as we're getting closer, I zonked out, unfortunately, which must have really sucked for him. Like, I passed out for like 2 or 3 hours on him, and I kept waking up in a panic every time we hit a reflector on the road, so probably got a little annoying too. Yeah, Robert Whedon saying yes. That's awesome. Gumby is a great guy. Southeast Texas is great for crawfish. It is, and I think I saw a couple places maybe where they grow the crawfish. It's like low water with the little buckets and stuff like that. It looks like that's where they kind of farm them and cultivate them. They're off the highway. Robert, yeah, there's Robert Whedon. Zach Anderson checking in late. Can't wait for most of my parts to ship out tomorrow. Now just waiting on a control pack and long tubes. Control packs, the 26th is a big day. I'm starting, I believe there are signs that those control packs are shipping. We saw some movement today in the Matrix, which tells us that there are control packs out there and they're coming. It's like an ominous feeling. If they all showed up here at once, we'd spend 2 days shipping them. We would have so many damn control packs, it wouldn't even be funny. I think we're up to like 80 control packs on order. That's a lot. That is a lot. But thanks for checking in, Zach. Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to hitting New Orleans and trying crawfish. I've avoided that stuff because it just wasn't something I was into. So, you know, gotta try it. You gotta try it and see if you can enjoy it. Alrighty, guys. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for all the support. Daniel Green, thank you for all the questions in the super chat, man. It's really appreciative. If you have any more questions, brother, post them up in the comments section. Email me. I'll be more than happy to answer that stuff as much as possible, especially information on my car, and go in depth with it. I can give you some of the setup sheets I have if that's something you're looking to do. And if you're looking for suspension setup, a guy like Jack Hidley at Maxim Motorsports is a really good guy to email. Thank you guys so much for the support. As usual, we had a really good time at Texas 2K. I'd like to go back and maybe visit some other Houston area shops as well. We'll see what the cards hold for next year. If Alex goes and I get the invite, I'll do it again. I have no problem doing it again. And now that I know that he's complaining about my lack of driving, I'll drive a little bit more instead of just riding shotgun. If you guys are not busy, make sure you check out the dating channel. He's going live now, talking about all sorts of dating stuff and comments and so forth. I'll probably hop in there and say some obscene things as well. But thank you so much for everybody who came out to the meet and greet in Houston. Thank you to Ekstensive Metal. Thank you to Gumby Saunders. Thank you to everybody. We'll keep growing this thing together, and make sure you sign the RPM Act. Please support that so we have a fighting chance against all these changes the EPA is trying to enforce upon us. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining me tonight. We'll see you here next Wednesday, same time. We'll premiere the video from Gumby's shop. Thank you again, guys. Thank you so much for the support. You have a great night.